honorable official representatives, members of the diplomatic community, representatives from the UN and civil society, dear students and researchers, all protocols observed. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all to the opening of the exhibition Remember, React. I want to thank you for taking time to be here at the opening event of this exhibition, which aims to educate about the importance of remembrance and combating anti-Semitism, antigypsyism, and racism. The exhibition you just had a chance to visit showcases both Swedish and international efforts since the first Stockholm Forum on the Holocaust in year 2000. I also wish to extend my warm gratitude to the Aegis Trust team under the leadership of Freddie Mutanguha for organizing the exhibition in partnership with the Swedish Embassy, and to the Kigali Genocide Memorial for letting us use the significant and important venue. This Wednesday, on the 13th of October, Sweden is hosting Remember, React, the Malmö International Forum on Holocaust Remembrance and Combating Antisemitism, to which some 50 heads of state have been invited. The purpose of the forum is to make forward-looking commitments, action-oriented pledges, to ensure that memory of the Holocaust is not lost, and to combat anti-Semitism in a society in which racism is on the rise and which many people suffer hate, threats and abuse on a daily basis. In view of the Malmö Forum, the Swedish Embassy in Kigali is showcasing the Remember React exhibition here at the Kigali Genocide Memorial until next Monday. The exhibition is a collaboration with the Swedish Ministry for Foreign Affairs, the Ministry for Education and Research, and the Living History Forum, a public agency working for democracy and equality between all people, using lessons learned from the Holocaust. The exhibition is not very extensive and is focusing on the experience in Sweden. Even so, it's my hope that it may be of interest and relevance to you. To me, it provides an opportunity to reflect. It's an opportunity to highlight the responsibility of each and every one of us to act and react. The responsibility to stand up for universal values related to inclusion, tolerance, and respect for one another, and stand up for the equal value of all individuals, always and everywhere. It highlights the constant need of education and sharing experiences to stand stronger together. Now, before I continue with my speech, I would like to give the word to Emmeline. Today is the International Day of the Girl Child, and I've had the great pleasure to have an ambassador friend following me and working with me all day. So please.
Thank you. Firstly, I want to thank the Embassy of Sweden for inviting me to this event. It's a great pleasure. And giving the opportunity for young generation for learning among us. This event is also an important remembrance for our history as Rwandans. And we should learn by the work done in keeping the memory of the Holocaust alive. We, as the youth, we are a part of the positive change and the hope towards a different, more inclusive and a brighter future. Thank you.
We're happy to see some also young generation. I think it's a good idea. And I would like first to thank the representative of the government, Eugene Bideri. I'd like to recognize my friends Guillaume from Inafet, Fode, Joanna, thank you for inviting me, and Nicola, Bert, and also Renate, Yakule, and Cassiopeia. So these are my friends from the diplomatic corps. We are here to talk about anti-Semitism and about Holocaust. And we saw very interesting facts and numbers in the exhibition. And I'm happy to be here, and I thank the Swedish Embassy and Aegis Trust for organizing it. I am a second-generation survivor of the Holocaust. My mother's story started on 17 April 1944. She was 9 years old, and she was taken in the night with her brother with a train to Bergen-Belsen. It's a concentration camp in Germany. She was born in Budapest, and she was taken from Budapest, so the way there took about a week. There was no return. All children and adults on this train ended up in Bergen-Belsen, and after 9 months they were lucky to be saved by a person from Budapest, from the Jewish community, who raised money, negotiated directly with Adolf Eichmann. His name was Israel Kastner, and he managed to save 1,860 people. My mother was among them. She ended up, after 9 months in Bergen-Belsen, she ended up in Switzerland. So the arrangement was to be saved there. Later on, she immigrated to Israel, and she was part of the Zionist success story of establishing the State of Israel. My father's story started in 1941. I want to tell you that my mother never told me what happened in Bergen-Belsen, and my father never told me what happened to him at all. However, when I packed my things to come here from Israel, I found 8 pages that my father wrote. And I took the first 2 pages, it's here with me, and he wrote his memories on 8 pages, and I found it really recently. He started by saying the following. He wrote in Hebrew, but I will translate to you. On 6th of April 1941, that was a Sunday. The markets and the streets were full of people, and they benefited the nice spring day with a sunny day. Suddenly, we saw many aircrafts, combat aircrafts, on the sky of Belgrade. My father was born in Belgrade. People cheered for these aircraft. They cheered because they thought, of course, it's a Yugoslavian aircraft, and they are fighting. And they were big and strong, and people were happy. But very soon, very quick, we realized that this is not a show. This is not a show of our airplanes, because bombs start falling on the city and killed thousands in a few minutes. This barbaric attack came for us on complete surprise, and no warning, no early warning, no sirens were heard in the city. The Junkers and the Stuka airplanes in the savage attack brought terrible sights of people that were a minute ago very silent and cheerful, they brought killings and dead and bodies all around. My sister was 14. She celebrated birthday a day before. We came out of the initial shock, and we went to the shelter of our house, very close. Many people were wounded, but the wounded ran to the shelter. I saw my friends from school. My father writes, even though it's 60 years ago, these moments make my heart beat very, very quickly. And he writes that he has a headache and he has to stop. But then he continued, these bombs, we did not miss our house. Our house was bombed and was completely devastated and ruined. My mother was killed in the bombings. I will stop here. Afternoon that day, they started to run away from the Nazis, and my father ran away for 4 years until the end of the war. He was in Italy and Yugoslavia in the forest, and he ended up in Switzerland on one of those days that the borders were open. Later on, he went back to Belgrade, he finished his studies, and he immigrated to Israel in 1949. These two stories are said in many facets, but mainly because I didn't hear it from them. I read my father's story and I read about my mother's story in other books because it was written in other books, because this story of surviving, the story of the rescuer, Israel Kastner, is very known, because Israel Kastner, to make the long story short, was shot to death in the beach of Tel Aviv in 1955 because a few survivors thought he negotiated with the devil and they wanted to revenge and they killed him. I'm telling you the story, even the young generation, because we need to tell the story of the Holocaust for many reasons. One of the reasons, of course, is never again. Another reason is the healing. My parents did not tell the story. They were never healed. And me, I'm sure I got the trauma of the second generation. Here in Rwanda, we need to hear and we need to share our stories. Don't wait 50 years. Or don't wait forever. And more important, the denial of the genocide and denial of the Holocaust. The more or the less you talk, it's like an equation. The less you talk about your experience, the less you share your story, the denials will rise. It's a very, very simple equation. So we need to talk, we need to share, and we need to teach. And we need to teach about the Holocaust and the genocide here in Rwanda.